So, hello everyone, my name is Vincent Schwenk, and today I want to talk about how to have fun. This is a super quick presentation, and there are gonna be two parts. The first part is gonna be about my background and like a little bit of my work, and the second part is gonna be a short tutorial. So, I'll try to keep the first part under 10 minutes. And yeah, it's nice to meet you. And well, first of all, I'm a graphic designer with a passion for 3D. I studied communication design, but I slowly moved into the world of 3D. And for the people who don't know me yet, I prepared a super quick showreel, and let's give it a quick play. These were some of my daily renders and some of my works, and yeah, all meshed together and super quick 30 seconds intro. Well, so I also want to talk a bit about my background. That's me when I was younger, and I was really into snowboarding and into skateboarding, and I started photography because of that, and I got better and better in photography. And yeah, in the first years I always did want to become a photographer, but luckily I studied graphic design and I moved where I'm now. But I'd always say I have a good background because of that, and I can always rely on like what's the focal length, what's a camera, how should the light be, etc., etc. And yeah, so many people do have this kind of background, and I'm also one of them. And I will also tell you a bit about how to have fun. And about stuff which I learned so far. And hopefully there are going to be some tips and tricks which are good for you or useful. So, well, the first thing which I have to say is always try to satisfy your mind. That means for me, I'm like not always taking every job there's going to be. So I decline a lot of jobs, because I really enjoy working for my own. I like to do my Instagram doodles. I like to do tutorials for my Patreon. And yeah, I don't know, I also like just enjoying life, being outside, doing nice things. So always enjoy yourself. Another thing which you probably know or should know is that you should create as much as possible. So I really recommend to do a daily, or let's say at least a weekly artwork. Therefore you will get better in your workflow, you will get faster. And I would also say, if you have a very stressful job and you have a big database of work you already did, you can rely on that. And sometimes a Instagram sketch can influence your work. And yeah, I would say it helped me a lot to be able to manage jobs which have very tough deadlines. And here are just some frames from my Instagram. Not as fast as in the showreel. So then another thing I would say which is very nice is to connect with people, and the best place to connect with people are design festivals. And I really love Us by Night or Off. I mean, unfortunately this year Off was like cancelled or postponed, but let's see how it's going. Well, the next thing is I'm always trying to learn something new. And yeah, I mean, this is cool because then you won't stop at the time where you are. You're always progressing, and you won't lose the connection to the current trends. And yeah, it's fun to learn something new, and yeah, that's cool. So then another thing which I tend to do, like I create something that, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, that's it, I'll take that. But really sometimes it's good to not take the first idea or the first sketch or the first design and try to work more and try to figure out some other ways. And yeah, this is definitely something helpful, and especially working with Vitaly, he's like the master of that. He's like always, yeah, Vince, try more, try this, try that. And I'm always like, nah, but can we already take this? So yeah, but it's cool. Definitely try to make more than one idea. Then, yeah, that's has to do with my first point already. I'm quite picky with what jobs I'm doing because I mean sometimes you have to work 3 months in a row, and most of the 3D jobs are quite stressful. So yeah, you really should think about if that job is the right thing for you or not. And what I also say, better a few months with less cash and a nice life than being stressed as hell. And yeah, inspiration is also like a very important thing. And for me, it can come from everywhere, especially from music or sport or traveling, or as I said, from photography. And last year I had been in Japan and I just had a quick selection of them. And yeah, I love Japan and I love taking pictures. And I would say this is also like a mix for reference. So for objects, for colors, for shades. And I would also say my pictures are often very graphical. So yeah, nice references, nice colors, and also some texture references, tiny hairs, I love it. Yeah, and a little bit of craziness in Japan. So let's talk about jobs. Also, I have a stopwatch in front of me which says we have 2 minutes 43 seconds. So this was a job which I mostly made with Vitaly, but I also had help from super designers and Moritz from Intagma. He made some Houdini simulations, and this is just one frame to like feedback super designers. And yeah, this is the final frame. And I will just quickly show you some sketches, some ideas, some R&D, what we did there. For example, these were some tests for this hairy world. These are some renders from the final film. For example, we also really enjoy working with the sound designer as soon as possible, and the sound designer in this job was Jürgen Brandt. And here are some little notes how we would like to work with him. Then some more final renderers from the job. Then here's another some frames from one of the shots from like a very early stage, which you can see on the left. And we made a lot of tests and developed stuff and tried a lot of art. And at the end, this shot was we made the color by these laser dots. And yeah, this is, for example, another final shot from the film. And these are 2 final shots. And for example, on the left side, these simulations were done in Houdini by Moritz. But most of the stuff from the film was done in cinema. This also was done in cinema. And some more final frames. So you can see on this frame, like all of the frames from the film. The very first part, you can see they're very colorful and very bright, and everything is a bit off. This was the world where the materials were transforming. And Imad was also, they tried to implement their new scan system for the materials. So the second part of the film, the dark part, is more geometrical and way more focused on scanning materials. Just another thing which I wanted to show you is an animatic, and this was after 1/3 of the whole project. So a lot of shots are still very, very rough. Some of them did change like totally, and some of them are already quite close to the final thing. And as you can see, already in the beginning, the sound was already evolving, so this was really good for us to work with sound and combine the two worlds. Yeah, so I would say this was enough for part 1, and check out my website if you haven't seen it, and I will make a cut here and we'll go to part 2 because tutorials are fun. So hello everyone, welcome back to my second part of this talk. It's gonna be the tutorial, and I'm already in Cinema 4D in R21. And today I want to give you a quick tutorial about soft bodies and what you have to keep in mind. And I will be going like very fast through everything because we only have 10 minutes. And if you want to learn more stuff in detail, you can go to my Patreon and watch some stuff there. So I just built this little scene in the last hour. I didn't have time to finish it yet, but I think it's quite nice. So there are many things where we can go. So I'm now in a more basic scene. I have my scene set up here on the right hand. If I open a new file, everything comes up in there, which is quite nice. And let's delete all my things, and I will show you what we're going for. So I will try this to build this little guy. And yeah, that's super basic. It's just a cloner and another cylinder. Very important for the VDB measure is that we have a lot of polygons. So I've got 155 for the rotation both objects, so everything will be smooth. Then I select both of them and put them in the volume builder. And I have a very small size for voxels, like 0.2. If I press NB, I can see my polygons. So you can see I have a lot of polygons. And in the volume builder, I also did add a smoothing, as you can see without smoothing. So you go down there and click smoothing, and I will choose the median curve. So I only have a little bit of smoothing. So for now, this is very basic and easy. So everyone can build this. You can build any abstract or organic form, whatever you want, into the volume builder. Next thing is you need to make this editable. So I press C. Now I have my high poly object. But with this high poly object, we probably can't do anything special. We can't do soft body animations, and therefore we need to retopology. And the retopology kind of algorithms are kind of new, which is really amazing. Cinema doesn't have them yet, which is kind of sad. But there are some free ones. This Quadriflow is for free. They are quite okay, but I didn't like the mesh too much. Then we have got Instant Measure, which is for free. That's really great, especially it's very, very fast. The only downside is you have to export an OBJ from Cinema, import the OBJ into Instant Measure, remesh everything in here, export it again, and open it again in Cinema. So it's a bit of a hassle. And therefore I have my last option, which is the Quad Remesher. It's not free, but it's really doing the best job, and it is implemented into Cinema, and it's really nice. So I have already set up my perfect scene for here because I already tried that. I just click remesh, and as you can see, this measure is not the fastest, but it is really giving us a very wonderful topology. So that gives me 1 second to have a sip of coffee and a breath. So our remesh is done and our object looks really great. You can see the topology is wonderful, and now we need to have UVs, because as you can see, I prepared an object. The UVs are not good, and I really don't like the UVs in Cinema. Therefore I got myself Horizon UV, and I have a little plugin in here, and if I select an object, the bridge automatically opens Horizon. And Horizon is a really powerful software for UV unwrapping. You can, for example, like very quickly make loop cuts. You can preview your cuts with Shift. You see the white line where I'm gonna cut, and let's, for example, make a loop cut in here. I press cut, C for cut, then I'll unwrap both of my objects, and I'll pack them with P and optimize them in there. And you can see now I have like a cut in here. So, but for now, because we don't have time, only 10 minutes for this tutorial, I'll go with the automatic unwrapping, and I take this first one, which is really good for organic objects, and I make my auto selection, my auto cut, and my auto packing, and everything is optimized. You can see there's some stretching in both of the areas, but for now that's quite alright, so I'll give it a quick save, and Ryzen automatically closes, and we have the same object back in Cinema, and we have now a perfect unwrapped UV. Nice. So that's step one. Then I'll go back into the scene which I just recently started to build, and you can see I have a couple of more objects in there, so you can just repeat the same process in here. And overall I have some effectors, some wind, some attractors, some turbulence, and they're just like playing around the thing, and we have a little pop from our soft body. So let's first of all try to imitate that pop. Therefore I will go into my object, I'll go to simulation tag, and then I'll go into soft bodies. And overall you have to press Ctrl D because your scene is probably too big. I try to model everything more in a realistic size, so I go down to 0.1 on the collision margin, which is better, and also my scene scale is a little bit, I drop it down to 10, and I did erase my gravity. Normally it's 1000, now it's 0, so the object is floating in space. We have a soft body, and let's just give us a little bit of a motion, so I'll add in a turbulence, and I want a very small scale, and the strength should be very low, perhaps even 3. I only want a little bit of a wiggle. So let's press play and see what's happened. And yeah, this is already even too much. Let's drop it down to 2. So first of all, I want my soft body object to be a little bit more wiggly. So we decrease the strength of our springs and the flexion and the shear. And also I'm decreasing my dampening in those two, so everything will be more softer. Or I'll even go to 10, so the impact is bigger. And let's go, let's say we go on frame 40. So 40 frames is just wiggling around. And then I want to simulate this air inflation puff, so I'll give myself 10 frames, and let's give it a pressure of 20. And to increase the impact, I will also animate my rest length. So from 100 to 150, and the pressure is 20. And now I have my timeline here, and I select my keyframes, and I will make them more dramatic, so the puff will be even more, and give it a quick save just in case, because soft bodies, things can go wrong. So 40 frames of wiggling, and then pum, floop. That looks kind of nice, but let's make the impact even stronger, just only a few frames. And you can see the object was a bit too wiggly for me, so let's increase the strength of my shears back again. And I'll go for 80 frames, and to be able to watch it in real time, I go to cache and bake all. And because I only have one object and I have very low poly, you can see the simulation goes very, very fast. And press play, and bloop. Yeah, that's kind of nice. So to make the scene more interesting, I already have my shapes here selected, open, and I got a lot of different of these already. I built them, or I painted them in the VR, then I put them into the remesher because they were a very high polygon, and then I UV unwrapped everything, and yeah, they're all ready for animation and simulation, and that's great. So therefore I did select a couple of them, so this one's is from there. And you can also see everything in here is like super low poly, but I will add my polygons later with my redshift tag. I have got a minimum edge lag of 0 and a maximum subdivision of 3, so everything will be smooth and slick. And let's have a quick look on the time. I've got left 1 minute. Let's see what. Yeah, for now I'll just copy this one object, go back into my test scene and paste it in there as well, and let's make it a bit smaller. So now we've got two things in here, and let's see what happens if I combine them. I've got 90 frames, give it a quick save. And I now have to delete my cache, clear all object cache, and I'll bake all objects. With two objects in mind, everything's a bit slower, but you can see it's still very, very powerful. Cool, let's see, let's press play, and bloop. Bloop. Yeah, this one is not doing much, but yeah, you can play around, add some objects, play around with the soft bodies, and my timer already ticked, so therefore I'll just have a super quick look. So this is like a super quick overview of a bit of my workflow, and I really hope you learned something, and see you in a bit. Bye bye.